thought Royal Club would be willing to first pick it, which is actually a pretty big deal considering how little Rengar we've actually seen at Worlds in comparison to Lee Sin and Kha'Zix.
Well, seeing more of the regulars that have found themselves on the ban bench in the world stage of Alistar. A little bit of Rumble coming out since everybody was trying to use that as a pocket pick. Now goes to the ban list, and we will not see that Maokai. Coral One loving to bring that in for the fights of EDG once they get to that late game. And the Fizz goes out as well. So many bans towards Corn through the regular season, and to the group stage, he actually didn't play it that well. Bry's first pick.
And I actually feel like EDG was trying to bait that first pick for Lee Sin. They were doing a Lee Sin Ryze trade. They would be happy with one of them. We know how good Insec is on Lee Sin, but at the same time, the top lane love in these games is extremely real. EDG had Ryze banned against them in 5 of their 7 games. So you can see that it was almost more important for Royal Club to take it for Cola.
And on the other side, Edward decide to take Lee Sin. Going to take that away from Insec and give it over to Clearlove. Also, taking Janna here, which was, Zero's big support pick as well during the group stage. Has played 4 out of the 6 games on that one. End up with a 3-1 record. That's another great pick taken away, and FCZF is the kind of impact player that Edward gave in need.
Absolutely. And just looking at these pick and bans, they're fast, obviously, but we kind of have to think back to that first group stage. What were the big picks in those groups? Because they were much different than the big picks in groups C and D. Janna played absolutely huge roles in those games, and we can see the high priority here. I would not be surprised if EDG picked Aurelia as their last choice.
It would be a matchup that Cola knows very well. He's going to have to take that up against Coral. Would it actually be the twisted fate for Corn to come in here? Trying to make plays for the team, trying to add more map pressure and stave off. I mean, guess what? EDG already has a slow early game, so it may be hard to utilize that pick, but locking in the Lulu as well for the mid lane.
I mean, either the TF or the Lulu would have been his first choice. I feel like EDG definitely tried to starve Corn's champion pool a little bit, especially with the pick of Orianna, and at this point, they're just trying to buff up Uzi as much as possible. So much of what Royal Club does revolves around the bottom lane and revolves around Insec being able to make plays. That was actually fairly heavily attacked by EDG in this pick and ban phase by trying to take away some of the shielding that Uzi could get from the Orianna in the mid lane, and also by denying and heavily attacking Insec's 2 best champions. His Kha'Zix is nothing like his Lee Sin and his Rengar. Right?
So we also saw the Lucian picked up here for Uzi. That was actually only a single pick from in group stages, but there were 2 bans on it as well, which just goes to show how much of a priority teams put on making sure that Uzi didn't get that champion. For Edward Gaming, they do decide in the end to lock in the Kale. So that's going to be going straight up there into the top lane, with Koro will be a first pick for him this time around in Worlds.
I mean, these teams are who we thought they were. Name is getting a lot of shielding. That's a very late game type team composition. Hopefully Name can become a little bit more aggressive or successfully lane swap away from Royal Club, because Royal Club is going to want to put pedal to the metal and shut down EDG before Tristana can get going.
And that's what would happen. A featured matchup, lane swap, so we don't actually get to see these guys go head-to-head in the beginning. Uzi getting his 20 games played in the regular season. Lucian now to start off this best of 5. That's not going to be very bad for him. And Coral coming out with the Kale. Great synergy in team fight, great comms, and that's what you need for an intervention to be saving your AD carry.
Yeah, and interesting as well, the Lulu pick for Korn.
Yeah.
Not sure what I feel about this one. I've not been, I'll be honest, impressed with Lulu throughout Worlds whatsoever. I feel like for Korn, he does like to play these supporting mid laners with a couple of assassin picks in there as well, but Lulu, for me, he's played it 4 times during LPL and the playoffs. Pretty terrible record, 1 for 3. He's got to step up.
And when you consider how much Lulu was actually played during the summer season as a mid laner, that's very few plays of Lulu in the mid lane.
Well, guys, remember to keep updating your votes on Twitter with each twist and turn of this series. Send hashtag SHR win or EDG win to @LOL Esports, and we'll continue to check where the fan vote stands. Obviously, it was a big vote just a little while ago for Royal Club, so you guys seem to be going and focusing in with them, but don't forget, EDG turn up when it matters in playoffs.
And it's crazy how much these teams have turned up in general, obviously stating that this is not the Starhorn, or not Royal Club, I should say, from last year. A completely new team with Uzi still, and even EDG putting together WE and Positive Energy to create a team just this year, and these guys are representing at Worlds.
And just for a little bit more backstory on this EDG team, while Name gets a lot of the recognition and credit because he's won 3 straight LPL splits, there's a large proponent of the Chinese community that think ClearLove and FCZF are the real reasons that EDG is successful. So keep your eyes specifically on FCZF, how well, if they're successful, he can create for Name. And specifically, I need to see how well ClearLove can almost lay in wait for Insect to come and gank, because he is known to be a more defensive jungler.
So, early openings here, just to make note of some of the trinkets there. We did see a sweeper for Uzi right at the very beginning. We'll see exactly what he's going to do with that one. And we saw a lot between the Chinese teams, and specifically, I think, more in groups A and B. These bottom brush wards seem to catch quite a lot of teams out. SK Gaming could probably be the biggest testament to that after that level 1 phase check that they did. Maybe that sweeper will be used to clear out vision on that bottom side. For now, Name is still there. However, we do see FCZF on the top side of the map.
Something we have to track throughout this is the way the lane swaps play out. Now, in the Chinese regionals, the whole reason EDG was the #1 seed coming out of China, they defeated Starhorn Royal Club 2-1, and there was a fair bit of lane swapping here. One thing that Royal Club almost always does in lane swap situations is fast push. They want to end that swap as quickly as possible. So watch for Uzi and Zero to just go for that turret. In fact, when Zero was playing Janna, he brought AD runes just so he could punish turrets faster. Doesn't look like he's done it this time, but they're definitely looking to go very aggressive. And actually, they're trying to get 3-buffed right now.
Oh, the last auto attack almost coming in the way they wanted. Korn might meet you on the other side, but it goes to you in the beginning.
Geez, I got all wrapped up in the lane swapping situation. We didn't see the incredibly aggressive move that EDG just pulled. They're getting blue buff to Orianna while stealing the enemy blue. Guarantees that Insect's behind early on in the game. What a fantastic start for EDG, since they really just want to survive Insect's early pressure.
Yep, and that's one of the best ways to do it. Starve him out as early as possible. We're going to see Name probably being left alone here on this top side as FCZF will walk off into his own jungle. Bottom side, though, we do see that Zero is hanging around with Uzi and not exactly pushing this lane out too quickly at this point. And of course, as I say that, they do exactly the opposite.
Fires on right through. They'll get that. It looks like it's going to be Cola roaming around as we see FCZF roaming with ClearLove right now. Just things safe.
Yeah, I would have to say, though, that push down the bottom lane wasn't actually ideal. They'd want to stack up a slightly larger minion wave before hitting the turret. And interestingly enough, I almost feel like this is from past experience against Royal Club and how they didn't actually do that well when they decided to just freeze versus a push. They're doing the push as well.
There is Name on the top side, going to be hammering away on that one. He's got ClearLove, he's got Koro as well, who could possibly move into that scenario, but we may see them meet here in the jungle. Ward over the top there from Insect will actually spot Koro and ClearLove moving around to Wolves.
Pretty different for Super Starhorn Royal Club here. It looks like they are not trying to go into EDG's jungle. Usually you kind of grab the bottom side of the map when you're doing this, but they want to try and get back into the face of EDG, and it's not working out even more for them. Definitely would have been safer taking EDG's jungle. Nice smite there by Insect, but they are also pulling Zero out now as well. A lot of disturbance from the lanes here against Starhorn.
It feels like EDG is really coming out big against Starhorn early here. And we heard from Insect, they generally have to communicate in basic Chinese or English to try and get their points across. And when you get 3-buffed at the start of the game, you really have to think on the fly. Typically, Royal Club's early games have been strong because of mechanical skill and because they can pre-plan a lot of that stuff. But when EDG threw a curveball here that worked, you can really see they're not necessarily reacting to it properly, not respecting that side of the jungle, and now trying to gank mid to make up for it.
Oh, there's a slow coming in. Insect will dive on top of him. Yugo's low. Flash in as well. First blood comes down for Cola. Nice little heal at the end there will make sure that Insect survives. First blood to Royal Club.
And that's one way to do it. Just burn all your flashes and just go and kill the mid laner. That's what happened there. They burned 4 summoner spells for that kill onto you. However, it will give Corrin some breathing room in that mid lane, and in particular, finishes that tier for Cola.
Finishes that tier with a blue buff revolving around him, so he'll be happy to fill that up right quick. That early blue buff you did not get to use. Refresh now onto Cola. Bottom lane does get taken out. Starhorn up 1.4 thousand gold at 5 minutes.
Top turret is going to be falling as well then, so they'll level things up on that front. Leaves Royal Club up that gold. If you look down the AD carry, since they're now going to be going home to buy, Uzi left the lane first, will be picking himself up the pickaxe and boots, plus a couple of pots. On the other side, seems to be a almost mirror image.
Yeah.
Pickaxe and the boots added into the Doran's blade for Nami.
I completely agree with Name's build choice here, especially because they're having a good chance of having to swap back into Lucian. Yesterday, we actually saw Deft go Avarice Blade first to get Lucian and proceed to get about 50 CS behind Sneaky because he was powered up Lucian. You have to go pickaxe on Trist if you're going to be laning against Lucian in that matchup to actually be able to have a hope of trading. And that's what Name has done here because it's going to be tough anyways.
Especially against Uzi. We'll see how much they try to match up. Now a level behind. He just gets that. Name now to 5 and 5 on those levels in lane. Before it's about to meet here, and we do have Clear Love on the bottom side of the jungle. He may try to get Name going just a little bit. They have the wards, but they're pushing up the lane quite hard. They may not have the pressure.
Royal Club don't have the wards, so this is interesting. And that bottom side completely open for EDG to be moving through. That Tribush will be an easy push around as the Howling Gale comes through, but actually Clearlove deciding not to come down into the lane. And, you know, there were a lot of whispers, and I can say quite a fair bit of criticism for Clearlove as well, in the fact that he spent a hell of a lot of time farming and not hitting his lanes.
The thing is, that's almost always how Clearlove has played the game. He likes efficient ganks, he likes safer things that have a higher percentage chance of working out in the long run. That's the way EDG plays. They just think about the long game. They don't try and take risks in the early game, which a lot of people credit their success to. They think because they're consistent, that's why they're able to win so much in the LPL. And it's also one of the biggest criticisms, because they're consistently passive, the best teams get to take advantage of them. However, they did beat Royal Club 2-1 in that regional, but it was close.
2-1 in the regional. Seasonal games going over to Royal Club. That aggression in the bottom lane coming from Uzi now. That turret's already down, so there's not much safety for Name and FCZF to fall back to. We'll see them backing now. A little bit more pressure towards the top side here. They want this blue buff due to the loss of the last one.
I really do.
Oh, it's Corn. It's just Corn.
It made us think he'd stolen it away from
excited.
guys. It's just their solo laners actually taking that blue. In the end, because they were able to pull off that gank in the mid lane, World Club came out of that lane swap really well. They're able to bully back Name a little bit, and Ryze is getting a fantastic freeze over in the top lane. Plus, they're able to exert pressure now with Uzi's advantage. This is the game Royal Club wants to be playing.
Here we go. Now I can get excited. They're pinging their blue buff. This is the point where they're going to steal it away. Warded out pretty well, though. It looks like they're just forced to mill about around the dragon. Already warded here. Uzi's going to walk through a ward as he returns to the bottom.
Got to break this freeze. That freeze is going back there. He doesn't want to give Name too much free time.
He's got 76 to 60 right now in that CS lead, so keeping that would be grand for him. Tier still stacking in the top lane. No pressure towards Cola. He could come in and be a big teleport threat soon.
And another thing that really surprised me, Uzi really pushing out, and I guess it's kind of typical of Uzi this. He's way past the halfway point of that lane with absolutely no wards whatsoever in that river. Fortunately for him, Clearlove, as we said before, tends to farm a lot more and has not come down to this bottom lane. Finally, Zero will join in, but he himself, no sightstone up until now. Actually went straight into those boots of mobility.
That is not all that uncommon for Zero to do. And Uzi, in particular, plays heavily on his own instinct. Sometimes that gets him into trouble, but it also allows him to pull off some miraculous plays. At that moment, just because of the last time he'd seen people on the map and the vibe he was getting from Name, he thought it would be safe to be up past that halfway point, and at the time, it was safe. This looks pretty unsafe.
Flash to Zero. Pressure gained there by EDG. How are they going to use it, though? Name pushed up quite far himself. Uzi takes that chance to get a few pop shots in. Lanes are quite even now as Cola gets himself back up to where Koro was. He was about 20 CS behind, but EDG is not going back to that top lane. We'll probably see Koro float there now, but he's missing out on quite a few CS.
Yeah, it really seems like they're going to be using that top lane to go for something like Dragon. However, the vision control is pretty lax. I'm a little surprised how heavily EDG has pink warded the top side of the map at the moment, especially since they had kept Insec a little bit down at the start of the game. But Dragon actually doesn't seem like the biggest of contestable objectives here, which is a bit surprising.
Let's see. That lane now pushed back out. I think that means Nami going to go back to base. Spend all that cash. That mid lane, obviously, Lulu-Orianna matchup. Both of them going straight into that Athene's Unholy Grail. Just see Nami did get himself BF sword. However, bottom lane recalls. Is this going to be Royal Club starting off a Dragon? They only have 2 there. In fact, Insect did already start to back away and now recall from the Triber. So no start on that side of things. However, EDG have seen them now recalling. That pink ward isn't, unfortunately, not quite far enough in to see the ward.
That's the trick, seeing around that Dragon wall.
That was
see the same thing with Baron being inside or outside. Right here, though, there is a big jungle item mismatch. Clearlove senses the ward, actually, just because of the way the lanes were reacting here. He had finished his Lizard Elder when Insect went back to base. However, because they were slow on the collapse, possibly playing pretty passively, they may actually give time for this collapse to come down. Kale teleports, will rise follow.
Teleport straight down on. They have quite a bit of fight to bring to the table. Calling from Uzi on the other side. Whoa, Name jumping right in. Knows he has the safety of Yu right behind him. Yu is actually very low on mana, so how much more can they fight this? Clearlove going straight in, and he gets eaten alive by Insect. They're going to want this fight. Back and forth. Toro falls down. Not even using intervention in that fight. It's going to be FTZF now getting hit up. That's another kill for Korn. Uzi takes the safety off, and he drops FTZF in the bottom lane. Name's forced to run. It looks like they want the whole thing. The bubble hits, and he's in trouble. Going down as well. Almost the full ace. Clearlove's already spawned.
It was a full ace, except the fight took a little long and was so early in the game that Clearlove was able to respawn. That was just a completely botched fight by EDG. Not only did they wait too long to start the Dragon, when they did start the Dragon, they took damage from it and faultily committed on a fight where they could not follow up onto Clearlove. The flank was happening as Clearlove went in. It's almost the polar opposite of what you would expect. You would expect EDG to have the right type of teamfight communication. You would expect Insect to be the one that goes in too far, but it was actually
Let's see this again.
I can't believe he took this. I can't believe he got that bad of a Lee syndrome. He was probably expecting a Kale ult or a Shockwave, but he didn't realize how far that spell was going to take him. Uzi, of course, because all the spells had been burned in the fight, had nothing to stop him. And yeah, Royal Club's going to know how to stop down. Never try to 1v1 Uzi either.
And obviously this was a nice little move at the end there, the jump over from Insect into the bubble finish. One thing that I have to point out, Koro, he had intervention available. I was watching his mana bar there because I thought, surely, if he's not going to use it in that scenario, he's got no mana, but chose not to use it. And the thing is, even the Shockwave at this point, doing basically no damage. You're getting the CC and a little bit of damage from it. Wild Growth's going to offer you a little bit more when that Lee Sin jumps straight into you. Wild Growth pops him up, finish him off. So, you know, Royal Club here, moving in nicely, picking up an early ace, and it actually gives them at 13.5 minutes a pretty sizable lead.
And EDG is known as a team who plays the early game generally in a losing fashion. In all 3 of the games they played against Royal Club in the regionals, they were behind in the early game. However, this is a very big disadvantage. This is not just playing a little bit slow. This is getting steamrolled at the moment, and they have to make something pretty big happen if they want to continue to stall.
EDG definitely feeling the pressure. You hear the community talk about Clearlove not going as hard as he does in his regular play, maybe getting under his skin a little bit. Now he just goes a little too far for the team to respond as well.
Are they going to defend their inhibitor turret? It's a Kale and a Janna trying to defend this. Uzi kills turrets so quickly at the moment. They finally have to send people back.
Pretty crazy stuff here. Royal Club starting off game number 1 with a big lead, and you know, we look to EDG and we say they are the most careful out of the 3 Chinese teams, and usually that Dragon fight there, I think if any of the Chinese teams were to just leave it to back away, it would be EDG normally.
Yeah, that's
that one
typically what I expected.
seemed to be completely off, and it was funny because we heard from EDG in the pre-game video saying this is a team that doesn't speak one language. They have to use smart pings. They have no synergy. But that's exactly what EDG just looked like. Cleel have dived all the way in.
And what is the last thing, in my opinion, you want to do against a team that has trouble communicating? Give them a 5v5 fight where they can all just rely on their mechanics. Split them up, split push them, make them make split decisions. That's what EDG was doing early on in the game. But we also have to keep in mind, during the group stages, mind you, they played 7 games. EDG had more dragons than any other team, right? It is in their DNA, basically, to try and control dragon. That's one of the ways, since they are typically a fantastic team-fighting team, that they pull advantages. It's just the team-fighting synergy did not show through in the slightest there.
Well, they have to hope it does play out to late game. Starhorn Royal Club able to grab 10 out of 10 Barons throughout the group stage, so it may not get easier as we even get to the late game.
And speaking of the late game, we're approaching 20 minutes. For teams that play slow, I always love looking at the goal at 20 minutes. How often does that team hold leads? How often does that team come back? And even though EDG is known as this slow team that plays from behind, they didn't have any come-from-behind victories in the group stage. They actually had a gold lead of close to 3,000 at 20 minutes against EDG, or against AHQ, and lost that game. So EDG actually has just been pretty porous in the late game so far here at the World Championship.
Let's have a look down a couple more items now after that dragon and that last fight, and that inner top turret. You see for Royal Club, that Infinity Edge of Uzi is done. Zeal in there as well. Rod of Ages for Cole, a Brutalizer in the hands of Insect. On the other side, Nami got a little bit of everything, not quite finishing off either the Shiv or the Infinity Edge. There's a Shockwave that, well, just completely off, really, trying to hold on to this turret, but just not enough damage, and honestly not in the right place either.
No. Fortunately, Insect took a fair bit of damage, but the heal from Kha'Zix and the heal from Nami is just rounding him up for the next push. All this is happening while Cola is really farming wave on the other side. EDG is in a whole world of trouble right now. Their initiation is gone.
Not even being able to stand at the turret. Good shields coming out of Korn. Quite powerful off of that 2 kills. Double kill in the beginning. And now Cola to split push the bottom lane. Really changing up his playstyle as well. A guy who loves to fight. And he looked pretty rusty on Rise coming into the group stages, but he has started to play it at that maximum level. He'll back off now, stacking the tier. Rod of Age is already there. Having a great game.
You're right. Pretty heavily criticized. Only a 2.92 KDA on 4 Rise games during the group stage. But it helps when your team gets a 5-0 at the Dragon fight as soon as you TP in. And also it helps when the enemy EDG team didn't lane pressure in the slightest. They have a Kayle Lee Sin because they did the lane swap back around 7 minutes. And they just never tried to shut down Rise when he just had his tier. He got the first blood tier, so he's had that easily from the very start. His vulnerability has never been attacked.
Yeah, I feel like we've not even really looked at this top lane once the lane switched back to normal, because it was a case of them just farming up, no pressure whatsoever coming out of the jungle, especially from EDG's side. Now Royal Club start to move once again over on towards this blue buff. That is, of course, going to be given over to Korn, and Uzi's going to get himself back off into lane. Nami has finally completed one of his items, went in there for that Shiv first, as Royal Club moves back to the Dragon. Soul Stealer has come out for 0 as well now on Janna. Sorry, on Nami.
It's normally a Janna out of 4.
Yeah,
that's why we were expecting it. He was building it almost every game. The Nami pickup is still potentially good. If he gets a few stacks, it gets efficient very quickly, and with the likelihood of some more team fights in this game, knowing World Club's propensity for just grouping up and daring the team to fight them, it could end up paying off.
Uzi must feel good right now. Actually has wards behind him this time with a bunch of teammates. Nami trying to get it clear on, as we said, rushing that static Shiv. They'll be all right at these turrets for now, but the bubble coming out doesn't look like Insect will take that. They don't have all the vision they want for this aggression, but they're still able to just draw EDG away from everything they're needing right now.
Yeah, it's just a repeated series of events right now for Royal Club. They have Rise off split pushing, they're sieging turrets with Uzi, who is continuing to crush. And I do actually want to touch on the Soul Stealer a little bit more, because so often I hate the Soul Stealer vibe because the Kales would just be way better in a situation. Right. But I look at the EDG team, there's really not much that they'd want of a Kales out of all of this, maybe you'd want to try and build an Aegis, but I can see the extended benefits of having more P on Nami. I actually really like the Soul Stealer in this situation.
We're about to hit 20 minutes of this one.
Yep.
And it is a solid lead for Royal Club. Uzi continues to build up now with that static shift. Got a solid almost 40 CS lead as well as that 1-0-2 scoreline. The kills have been spread across the Royal Club board as well nicely.
Yep. 6,500 gold. That's not the standard, oh yeah, we're just a late game team. Guys, let's weather the storm here and continue on. They actually kind of have to make a bit of a play or just hope that Royal Club stops killing turrets, stops taking dragons, stops taking their jungle. And the problem here for EDG is they don't have the greatest ability to catch people either. Maybe they can land a shockwave, but even then that'll expose them to a lot of counterattacks. Zero really just not even letting him farm. Little hasty on that tidal wave. I guess it burns a flash though.
Nicely done, putting the fear in him. We'll see Koro still somewhat stay in lane. He doesn't have much to farm up there, and also the wards now, the pink wards for Royal Club being placed a little bit deeper and deeper into the jungle of EDG. It's going to be even harder for them to be at home in that side. 35,000 to 28. Royal Club very good at controlling a lead and just keeping it going throughout the game.
Also got to point out the Captain Boot special from Zero. He did that most group stage games. The extra move speed, it's going to grant an already quick Royal Club team in and out of fights will be pretty critical. And now it's all about this Baron control, trying to get catches in the jungle. EDG is just on the run.
Oh, the slow comes down. Clearlove not going to escape that one, and reaction was pretty slow. He almost walked into the bubble right at the start. Clearlove will go down for the second time in the game, and now EDG, without vision directly on Baron, might be forced to face check through to get some of their own vision down. Actually, there was the scrying orb used from Name just to get sight of what's going on. But Royal Club, they've already started Baron.
If I know one thing of an insect, it's that he doesn't mess around. So he's going right for it and saying, fight me, I know you can't steal this away because we just killed your jungle.
Standing here is one thing they can definitely agree to communicate on. Zero taking a bit of damage from Koro on the backside. He's forced to blast into the pit. They're stuck in with Baron. A great shockwave from Unstoppable. SDZF doing what he can to get the Monsoon out, but it's not healing anybody. Uzi now trying to get Name inside the pit. He's, though, taking the Baron damage, and it actually takes him down in the end with the help of Koro. And Royal Club, they did get the Baron, but that is not a Baron that stays on them for very long.
What a terrible call right there from Royal Club to stay on the Baron. They used Wild Growth while in the Baron pit just to take more damage from Baron instead of using it for the fight. That's exactly what EDG needs if they want to try and shoot back into the game. Thank God for them that Uzi was able to finish off the Baron with his Lucian damage, but EDG, they're back in the game right off the bat.
And there's a teleport from Cola to a tower that was quite clearly going right down, and just like that, EDG bounce back in this game. What are they going to be able to do now, though? And that may have just scared Royal Club a little bit. It was a decisive call. It might have been a wrong one, but they did stick to it as 5. Obviously, it cost them completely.
Yeah.
But at least they didn't split up on it, and can maybe argue from that they're all on the same page. If it's not, maybe even just a bad page.
Hey, it's a pretty bad page here. They stuck to the plan, but it allowed many kills to fall to EDG. Even just Lulu ulting the Rise before the fight was a little curious. Name, nice jump off the back of the pit after Uzi was able to pick up that Baron. If he hadn't done that, that would have been, instead of a 5,000 gold lead, about a 3,000 gold lead after that. Even now, EDG still going to play on the back foot for a little while, but that's exactly the type of break they needed to come back in the game. And we talked before about kind of one of the differences of Chinese games and how they like to group up as 5 and just kind of go for things. They also like to play off of instinct more, and they're much more willing to take a high-risk play. However, this was a situation where a high-risk play is completely unnecessary. So a lot of times in even games, they're willing to take those plays because at least it's them deciding what will happen. This was just really showing through their lack of communication.
Uzi being very aggressive, not locking down the Sonic Wave. Clearlove missing a few this game, still trying to pursue a good slow from Insect here. A little bit of rotation from FCZF and Korn, but I don't think they'll come all the way down on this one, and that is staved off for the time being. But Royal Club still trying to create pressure everywhere they can. Gets the intervention out of Koro, so Cola A little bit of a victory there.
Low though inside his own jungle. Royal Club here, of course, have the timing from the dragon domination that they've really had in this game, will be taking it once again. So it gives them a bit more gold back. You can see 3 out of 3 dragons, and that Baron only just, albeit after Uzi was able to just finish that one off. Double pink ward right on top of each other. That's I guess another slight miscommunication really from Royal Club.
Really seems like it. I wonder what type of tilt we might see from Royal Club here. Obviously, everyone did stick to the plan. So we know that they can still play together, right?
Is that Insect would make the moves, kind of unrelenting aggression, and if the team follows, sometimes it went well. Didn't work in the beginning. It seems to be faltering a little bit here as well, as EDG took control of that Baron.
Yep.
We saw that 70% kill participation from EDG on the analyst desk. In their group stage in the upper bracket finals against OMG, 4 members had a 70% kill participation. So these guys are still a team to be reckoned with once they get into that team squad, once they get together around these objectives.
I don't think that Royal Club are necessarily, bad at team fighting.
No.
More of the fact that EDG have the upper hand, and we saw it in that last one that yes, they all were on that same page. Yes, it was a bad call, but they were fighting inside of the Baron pit, still going for the Baron, using abilities, ultimates even, to keep themselves more protected to fight the Baron. So, just not a good call across the board. We'll move on from that one, though, and see how Royal Club start their push, because they are still ahead here by a good chunk. There's another tower going their way.
And it's just a big reset button for a lot of this game. You look down, it's still a turret advantage because of that last one, and a 6,000 to 7,000 gold lead. However, the stall potential is just much lower right now as far as how long EDG would have to last.
We just saw Koro fighting in the jungle against Cola. Uses intervention, now using his flash to get out of that one. A lot of pressure from Royal Club, and they are not stopping here. Just regular abilities here and there to make sure EDG is always thinking twice about what they want to do, and usually playing reactive, which causes them to fall behind.
And the power level of Royal Club right now is still absurdly high. Look at how much Korn was able to take out of Koro right there. Rise has his items, plus Uzi gets the help of Korn's giant ability power on Lulu if we do see a fight in the open.
And that Lichbane's coming next, so it makes the tower shredding ability more impressive. We've got just less than 2 minutes for Baron number 2 of this game to be spawning in. We'll see what Royal Club do, whether they are a little scared away from that last attempt, or whether they just keep it going, because they still do have an 8,000 gold lead. Compare some of the items. Last Whisper came out from Uzi after finishing off that Static Shiv and Infinity Edge. On the other side, though, not all that much armor to break through.
Definitely not. I actually really think he should have finished his Bloodthirster before his last Whisper, just because of the really low armor values on all of EDG. That's one heck of a catch, though.
Well, Koro's going to use the intervention here, but it's going to do very little for him. Actually, we'll get a last-second heal, but the shutdown from Kohler, and it collapsed quickly there, did Royal Club.
That's one of the things they're known for, is their ability to collapse quickly. Both of these teams, in a sense, just Koro was so far away from home, there was no collapse. They're just trying to get everything.
So much catch potential coming from this team. It looks like they start the fight from so far away, and even EDG knows it. Blink Flash is just off a wave that's almost at max range, because they know there is so much follow-up coming from Royal Club, and now they're going to follow up that mid lane and try to grab this first inhibitor turret. Pretty good clear from Name, and Yu still sitting there. We're going to be waiting for Cola to come here with the blue buff that Yu has not had, or has been getting this game.
No, not particularly. I think since level 1, I wish you could have see exactly how many blues have gone over here.
They're going to get that a full blue buff.
I feel like it was just the first one where they got both blue buffs, and then he actually died, which then obviously fell into the hands of Cola for that first blood. So Royal Club done a good job of controlling that, but now we're at Baron time. Recall coming in from both Rise and Lulu at this point.
Not very good timing.
No, EDG are moving in already.
Yeesh, such a massive vulnerability that's not actually capitalized on. No teleport was on Cola at the time either, but EDG did not have ward control and were not willing to take the risk. EDG not nearly the same level of risk-taking that Royal Club is, and with the 10,000 gold lead around this Baron, we'll see if Royal Club is willing to take another chance and go for the Baron with very limited picks.
Limited picks, but they're going to try to limit the vision of EDG. 5 sweepers now here for Royal Club as they try to move around the objectives, but moving around their own wards for now and not getting too many out of that. Playing it safe as they group. Uzi on the backside, as we said, hasn't finished anything past that last whisper to BF Sword. And Name is still sitting on the power of Infinity Edge, waiting to build the BF Sword in his next buy. 30 minutes on the clock. Dragon after this as well, so it could mean a huge influx of gold for whoever comes out on top of this fight.
Well, they're going to be trying to burn the teleport from Koro, I feel like. Or not. Insect actually recalling, of all people.
They've got nothing to clear out vision here. I mean, they've all used their sweepers before their last recall. You can see that Insect just went back home, picked up a pink ward. When they came back to Baron, only Zero had that one pink ward, which they placed on the top side of the red buff. So I think a bit of a clearage problem there for Royal Club, which made them say that they don't want to start things off with not being able to clear things out. Now, though, all those trinkets are off cooldown, so they can come in and basically blanket sweep the entire area.
They're going to need to. They have this huge interest in the Baron area. Even with Uzi taking out the last one, they're at 11 out of 11 Barons in Royal Club games. Never given up one to the enemy team. But not without a little bit of risk, that's for sure.
Pinging on the Dragon, at least a ward to be thrown down there. Making sure it will not be taken without them knowing it. Those sneaky tricks are actually, they think they have the time to take it themselves. Enough vision onto EDG makes this safe, and it's not something that should be able to happen at least. EDG definitely lacking on wards right now across the map.
There's one ward, though, that's keeping them completely safe from going towards Baron, to being baited into that one. And that's on the left-hand side, which unfortunately
has just timed out.
But that they could see everything there. It wasn't in range of the pink ward and wasn't swept out. So EDG didn't have to move in there for the fair check. Once again, Royal Club was starting to recall. At least Kohler's left, but teleport is available for him anyway.
I really wonder how Royal Club's going to try and close this out now, especially after being in one game where the Baron went horribly wrong, because that plays on your mentality when you're in these types of games. Getting aced at Baron, you think if that happens again, we're going to lose. So they're even more cautious, and that's really not the way that Royal Club is comfortable playing. They need to be able to have full confidence in the simple, one-directional calls that they're able to give, because they can't make complex plans at this stage of the game. At this point, they say, all right, clear away Baron, we're going to sweep Baron, and then the call is either finish or fight. There's not too much intricacy that they can make within that. And maybe this time if they make the Baron call, they'll say fight.
Well, they can definitely fight right now. Completely items ahead in this game. Even the Banshee's Veil being finished up onto Cola. 3 full items with the Sword Boots onto Korn, and you're still looking at now a Void Staff actually coming in for you, so he's kind of buffed himself up. Been big things. Magi's not really stacking up yet. 4-0, so a bit of wasted money on that purchase as Name shows the power he has had through it. Pretty safe game in lane, and now EDG may be able to turn on the power. Tidal Wave comes out, Koro gets caught, another intervention in self-defense instead of the aggression. The reactive play causes EDG to fall behind, and everybody has a dash or a flash to get out of the shockwave as they continue the fight. FGZF gets caught up in a rune prison. The Ceres goes on, so Kola's a little bit tankier. That's the bubble to hit on the other side. Korn will have Whimsy in just a few to finalize that one. He just uses a bit of glitter and throws it down. Another ace, the second one on the game for Royal Club, and they're about to turn this base into shreds.
Yeah, that's the fight they needed. They catch out Koro, and then it's just a pile on, much like we saw at the Dragon.
And I think that's what works best for Royal Club. Go in there, get your fight down, and get it done. And you're going to be able to take away both of those Nexus turrets, and it will be Royal Club to pick up game number 1 in this quarterfinal against Edward Gaming.
And guys, there is a lot to clean up from EDG if they want to come back in this series. The 3-3 record that they posted after group stage